Hello, everyone. Hey, NEMC fam. It is that NEMC girl. I am back today with another episode teaching you all and sharing resources with you all so that you can be the best provider out there on the road that you can possibly be. And today we have Jim Cermak with us from Driverge, and he is the product training manager. And so today we're going to dive into all of the knowledge that Jim has so that you can make the most out of your business and be profitable, right? So
Yeah.
Jim, I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself. What do you do at Driverge, and just give the people some of your background.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. First of all, everybody, you got to tune into more of her episodes. She's sharing so much wisdom, especially if you're a startup. I just applaud T for all the wisdom, all the knowledge she's imparting so you can bypass some of those pitfalls, some of those hurdles and roadblocks that she went through. She learned it so you don't have to. So anyway, so I have been with Driverge for 15 years. I'm the head of training. And so what I do, I am what's called a PASS master trainer. So I train for wheelchair securement. So PASS is Passenger Assistance Safety and Sensitivity. That's a program from the CTAA. And I train all over the country. I've trained over the past 8 years about 4,000 drivers. And it is something that I love to do, just to make sure that the people, those precious people that we are transporting, that they are safe, they feel secure, they're well loved and taken care of. So it's an honor to be able to do that. And so during my time here at Driverge, what we do is we build wheelchair vans. So the reason I go out is to make sure that no matter how safe we make the vans, it's really the drivers that ensure the safety of the passengers. So that's why I love to go out there. But I not only know how to secure people, I know how the vans are built as well. So it's a great, well-rounded background that I bring to every person that I train. So, but an honor to be here today.
Absolutely. With NEMT, PASS and wheelchair securement is top tier. It's a top priority. And, we see providers that, sometimes try to cut corners in the beginning because, let's call a spade, financial costs, right? And so they may not be able to afford the training that they really need, and they really don't know how to secure a wheelchair properly. And then they run into issues later on down the line where you may have a lawsuit. So it is very, very important. But today I really want to focus on growing NEMC companies because Driverge has a different edge to it. You all build wheelchair vans, right? So you're able to see it from the inside and out, how to take care and manage these vehicles. And so that's very important for a provider, especially trying to grow from 3 to 5 vehicles to go up to the 5 to 10 and even larger than that. And so I really want us today to help providers understand how scaling and the operational changes occur when you start to grow your business. So let's just dive right into that. What changes do you typically see operationally when a company grows from 1 to 2 vehicles and then goes into 5? So they may have had that foundation down pat with 2 vehicles, right? But then once you get to that 5 mark, it's a totally different ballgame.
Oh, absolutely. A totally different ballgame. First of all, it's when you're going from those small number of vehicles, 1 or 2 up to 5 or beyond that. Now you're talking about needing probably some different kinds of software or tapping into scheduling software, routing software, telematics. Where's my vehicle? What's going on with that? Why is the driver not back yet? So be able to get your eyes as the business owner, keep your eyes on your vehicles, because as T said, these vehicles are expensive. Starting this business is very, very capital heavy. You need a lot of money to buy a van. So and these vans are, they're not getting any cheaper anytime soon. So, you need to make sure that you're taking the most care of these vehicles. But yeah, going back to the question about scaling, making sure you have the right software in place so that you could be as efficient as possible, because you now have more responsibilities. Just going from 2 to 5 means you probably need more than 5 drivers, right? Because otherwise, when that driver's not going, your van is sitting there. So you're going to have more drivers to make sure that those vans stay on the road, because as long as they're on the road, that's when they're making money. So if they're not on the road, so you need to make sure they're as efficient as possible. So looking into the different scheduling, route scheduling softwares, even your people scheduling, making sure that you have the right people in the right vans at the right time. If you're going to pick up certain passengers that have various size wheelchairs, make sure that you're sending out a van. If you have a minivan that has a small ramp, and you're going to pick up somebody in a wide chair, you're going to be you're putting your driver in a really awkward position. So you want to make sure that they have the right van, the right vehicle, everything in place, and the softwares that are available, they're just getting better and better. They're getting more robust in the features, and most companies of this size, up to five vehicles, you're not even coming close to tapping into all that the software has to offer. But just get there, work with the vendors to make sure you are using it the right way, and utilize that to make you as efficient as possible. So I think that's the first thing is just, I think a lot of people, they get in and they go, okay, we're going to add a couple vans, and they don't realize what all that really means. It's more than just adding vans. It's adding drivers. It's adding more maintenance. It's adding so much complexity to it. So you want to make sure you're doing things the right way.
Absolutely. And that's a great answer. I want to piggyback on something you said. So when you say you're adding more drivers, and from your perspective of having that pass and wheelchair, being the trainer for that, what are some of the most operational pitfalls that you see when a company is growing a little too fast when it comes to their staff, proper training? Because again, they're getting these vans, right? So somebody has to drive it. And then when they get that driver behind there, they may not really be cognizant of that driver needs. So let's speak to that piece in a bit in terms of scaling. What are some pitfalls that you've seen, providers may skip out on due to operational costs or whatever the case may be with their business, and the training that goes into that as you scale with your team?
Yeah, that was a great question. And yeah, so you hit the nail on the head. Because I see it firsthand, is the training that I think a lot of companies don't spend enough time on professional training. Now, that professional training doesn't mean you have to hire someone from the outside like me to come in, but if you have someone inside your company that has been professionally trained, and they can then turn around and train their team, and take the time to do it. These, like we said already, the vans are very expensive. So we want to make sure that the person driving the van, just because they have a driver's license, doesn't mean they're a good driver, or doesn't mean that they're going to take care of the vehicle the right way. So make sure they are trained on just how do we use our vehicle? How do we keep it clean? I mean, keeping it clean, it can be a difference maker between you and your competitors. I've trained in enough vans that have fast food wrappers, garbage, dirt in the tracks. Yes. And I could just imagine stepping into that as a passenger going, oh, what is this? What is this? So keeping it clean. So make sure the driver is trained on how do we keep our van clean at the beginning of the shift, at the end of the shift, all that stuff. And then really professionally trained on how to take care of our passengers, how to greet that passenger, how to communicate with them. I've been in situations. My mom is about to turn 97 years old, and so she's amazing. She is wheelchair bound at this point. And I remember the first time we took a ride, and we hired a company to come and pick her up to take her to the clinic. And the driver came. He did everything right. He communicated with me. I stayed with her the whole time. And then we got to the clinic. We went inside and we were sitting in the waiting room. She turned to me. She goes, "I didn't like that guy." I said, why? Why not? Turned out he never talked to her once the entire time. He talked to me several times. He communicated with me, but he never communicated with my mom. So we have to train our driver. And so she didn't ever want to go back with that company again. She goes, I didn't like it. I didn't have a good experience. My mom is very social. And we have to understand these are people. We're not just transporting wheelchairs. We're transporting people. This is someone's wife. This is someone's mother. This is someone's best friend. We need to treat them with care and love and respect like we would our own family members, those people that we care so much for. So we want to make sure we are training our drivers in communication, proper communication. That will go so far in keeping your customers happy and keep them coming back over and over. And obviously we want them professionally trained on correct onboarding and securement. There's so much that drivers, they hurry up, they rush. And another thing that we need to train our people is take your time. Exactly. Safety is more important than speed, because if we're rushing, and then something happens, everything stops. So all of the speed that you thought you were gaining is gone. Not only that, but maybe now somebody's injured, or maybe now that you might, like you said, you might be facing a lawsuit. So you want to make sure you are taking the proper time. And make sure your training is not just one day. This is my opinion, not just one day. It should be several days of onboarding. There's some companies that do weeks of you're driving with another driver for a couple of weeks, especially if you don't have any experience doing this. And until you make sure and you can demonstrate with another driver that you know how to do all this, that you have done everything firsthand. So important to create that culture of training, and also get people into your culture. Get people, your drivers, into your culture. Get them to feel part of the family, because if they feel, people will quit a job, but they're not going to quit a family. They're not going to quit a friend. They're not going to quit team, but they'll easily quit a job. So if we bring them into our culture, this is a long-winded answer, but yeah, right. But the training is so critically important, and train them on multiple things so that they become a long-term driver. Invest in them, and they'll pay. It'll pay for itself over and over and over. Did I completely answer that? I can't.
You gave me what I needed. Thank you, Jim. And
awesome.
That's really important, because I will say, even for myself in the beginning, it was just me behind the wheel. And then when I started to bring on people, I didn't go to school to be an HR consultant or
right.
an operations manager. So a lot of things I learned in real time. And so that was one of the things that I had to learn. Slow down and make sure that your team is trained properly. And also make sure not only on things like how to secure a wheelchair, but like you said, customer service, because we are transporting people. We're not a DME company, we are an NEMT company. So we are transporting people. And so with that, some of these clients, this is their first time getting out the house their entire week. Some of these clients, they don't have loved ones that are nearby to come and check with them, and they are anticipating that interaction with a driver, and they're hoping that this person is nice and pleasant, right?
Absolutely.
Well, if we have a driver on staff that is facing some personal things at home, doesn't know how to leave their attitude at the door, brings their attitude to work, and allows that to spill over into their interaction with the client, it is going to bring your company's reputation down. Not only with private pay, but also with the brokers, because clients can call the broker and say, hey, I don't want this company anymore. They have rude drivers. Okay. It also puts the company at risk, because now they have to respond to an incident report or a complaint that, let's call a spade here, Jim. Most of us who are providers, it's a family-owned business, or is, someone and their partner running it, or maybe independently running it, who are the smaller providers. Our time is precious. No one has time to continue to run and put out a complaint for every little thing a driver does. That driver isn't good, or that driver needs to be more properly trained. Either of the two, it all goes back to the processes and the systems that the company has in place. So I really like that.
Yeah, that you hit the nail on the head with all of that. You just want to make sure your people are up to speed on all of this, on how to treat people. And like you said, it could cost you you're positioned with a broker where the hand that feeds you is no longer feeding you. You're not getting the rides you thought you should be, or you once were, or you could have customers it could be a long-term customer just disappear. And you have no idea why, because they didn't call you to complain. They just decided to go to someone else because they didn't like that new driver, or they didn't like whatever. So make sure, and that brings up another point, is that I think you should be communicating with your customers every once in a while. Just reach out. How are things going? Hey, you had a new driver today. You had Jonathan. How was Jonathan for you? Get that feedback directly from the customer, because there may be some things happening behind the scenes you will never hear about. So the more you communicate with your customers, the more you communicate with your drivers, create that culture of communication and training is really going to benefit you as your company grows.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to switch gears for a second, Jim, because I want to tie this into Driverge and your role there, right? So we talked about how nothing's getting cheaper right now, unfortunately.
Yes.
Vehicles are not getting cheaper. Equipment is not getting cheaper. If anything, it's going to continue to rise, maybe slowly, maybe not so slow. Who knows? Everything changes by the day nowadays, okay? So with that being said, in terms of trends, what trends are you seeing in mobility and accessible transportation and pertaining to vehicles? And I want to speak more so into the types of vehicles. For example, starting out, someone may say, okay, I have $25,000, want to go buy this wheelchair van, right? Well, that may be good for now, but in about 2 or 3 years, that van may not be the same one to serve you, because you're not able to grow into it. You're not able to get bariatric clients. You're not able to load more than one wheelchair because you chose a side entry. So with the cost rising and, things going the way they are with the economy, what are some trends that you see in mobility and transportation, and what are some things that new providers should prepare for now?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Good question. So the trends are because of costs. A lot of NEMT companies, maybe in the past, if they've been around for a while, maybe they said, okay, every 3 years we're flipping our van, we're getting a new van. Or maybe it's every 5 years, or when it hits a certain mileage. Well, I think those old rules are now out the window, and they're holding on to their vans as long as they can because it's so expensive to replace. So they're repairing them and they're keeping them longer. And because of that, then there's now the older the van gets, the more repairs you're going to have, just routine maintenance. It might not be the lift might work perfectly fine, or the ramp system or whatever, but now you're looking at, we need new brakes. We need to replace the tires. All that routine maintenance that we need to have done on it. So that's the trend for companies because of the costs. We're seeing companies going to smaller vehicles. So companies that may have had a fleet of larger, Ford Transits, or even cutaway buses that might hold 20 passengers. Now they're going to, I'm going to pick up a couple of minivans because I run my big transit out there that can hold 4 wheelchairs. I run it at 20 miles to pick up one person to take them to dialysis. Well, that's not very efficient because the gas mileage on that vehicle is different than the minivan. I can get way better economy. So we're seeing a trend towards smaller vehicles. The other trend we're seeing is what kind of engine, or how are we propelling it? Are we going to, is EV going to be a thing? Where a couple of years ago, EVs were exploding, and we thought that EVs were really going to take a bigger chunk. But in the commercial space, NEMT space, they really didn't take a foothold because of the range, the battery range, especially on the full size vehicles. Like there is a Ford Transit EV. I think ProMaster's got an EV. I know Sprinter's got one, but the range just isn't there yet. So we saw a lot of companies dive into it and then pull back on it. because of the reliability. Because, you know, so if that van is sitting back at the garage charging, instead of being able to take a 5-minute break, fill it up, and back on the road, until the technology catches up, I think we're going to still continue to see standard engine options. But the number one minivan right now that I'm hearing a lot of requests for is the Toyota, because of the hybrid. And I think Chrysler just came out there with their hybrid, or they've had it for a little bit. But we're seeing more hybrid because of the fuel economy. So I think we're probably going to see maybe some of the larger vehicles go to a hybrid platform. I'm hoping that that's what happens because it's needed. It's needed just to help reduce some of those costs, offset some of the vehicle costs, some of the maintenance costs. If we can get the gas costs down for our NEMT providers, it's going to just be better for everybody. So those are a couple of the trends. It's really around cost more than anything else right now is what I'm seeing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to your point, I mean, yeah, with the EVs, you know, you're not able, like you said, you're going to be down a little bit when you could have just got gas in 5 minutes. So I see the need for the cost, but operationally for NEMT, it just doesn't make sense right now.
Right. Yeah, we'll get there. I have a feeling, you know, give it another 5 years or so, and the infrastructure will be better. The charging will be faster. I think it'll catch up, but for right now, it's not a real viable option, especially to anyone starting a business or trying to grow their business from just a couple vehicles to 5 or 10.
Gotcha. And that's a good segue into my next question, because I wanted to know, with your expertise, Jim, what is some advice that you would give to a provider who is operating anywhere between 3 to 10? And that's a wide range, but let's think about those who may have 3 to 5 and then 5 to 10. So what advice would you give right now, with the way the economy is, the way the trends are going, would you give to someone operating 3 to 10 vehicles?
I would say, first of all, you've got to know your business model. You really have to understand what do I do day to day? You know, like I gave the example before of, and I know this, I've seen this quite a bit. Companies that'll have they'll get one vehicle or 2 vehicles, and they'll be the 20 seaters. Mm-hmm. And they might hold multiple wheelchairs, and they're looking to go after senior center business, nursing home business, so they could take a whole bunch of people out in outings, and that's fantastic if you get that. But if that's the only van you have, and you get a call to pick up one person who's 30 miles away, and you have to send that vehicle, it's very expensive to send that vehicle. So understand, what is your business model? Do I have the right mix of vehicles? If I'm ready to grow, okay, I'm at 10 vehicles. Now I'm ready to grow. I need to add a few more. If you look at your whole vehicle mix, are they all the same? Are they a mix of vehicles? You got some minis, you got some full size, you got a small bus. What is your mix of vehicles? How can I best grow? So if I'm adding one more, maybe it's not the vehicle I think I need, but maybe I already have the vehicle I need to grow already in my fleet, but I could bring in something else that will serve me better at a lower cost and things like that. So I think it's really understanding, what am I trying to do? How do I serve my customers? Am I doing private pay? Am I doing some really great, I just want one-on-one. I'm picking up one customer, one passenger, and I'm taking them and I'm dropping them off at an appointment. So I only need maybe a minivan. So if that's my business model, you should really think to do that and look at all your vehicles and how are they operating. Because again, at the end of the day, it's about profits. It's about the money that you're bringing in and putting in the bank. And if you're not utilizing the vehicles that you have today, maybe there's some that are just underutilized and they're costing you more than they're really bringing in. You might want to flip those vehicles into something that's going to serve your business better. And then as you grow, okay, now I've had a great private pay, but I found out an opportunity to go to the VA has a contract out, and I need a different size vehicle than I currently have. Just again, it's understanding, what am I trying to accomplish? What is my business model? And what is, based on what I have today, how can I best move going forward? The second thing I would say is really understanding the technology that's available. Are you using the right technology that's built for your company? And maybe you got something a few years ago. Maybe it's completely outdated, and the company really hasn't kept up with the software and the changes, and you need better functionality as you grow, because you will need different functionality. So look at that, and how can we be more efficient as a company in all of our operations? Maybe instead of using 3 different software packages, now you can find one that's very tailored to your company to do a bunch of different things, because this one, you have to get out of this one to go to this one, and they don't talk to each other, and there's so many things that can happen. So make sure you understand the technology and understand your business model so that you can grow and do things as efficiently as possible.
That is so important, Jim, because you made a great point when you talked about the integration of technology and not having to use all, or they are able to communicate together, because we use Slack as our main communication channel. We use Loom for our training videos, and we use Monday.com for our project management software, which all can be intertwined with each other based on what function we're performing at that time. So that's very important. And that helps all of us dispatch, the team manager, and myself keep track of everything that's going on all in one space. So that's very helpful.
Nice.
I wanted to end with that question and allow you to give some more background information and say your piece, but you said something that I have to ask another question about. So yeah. Is there a point where staying too cheap with vehicles actually hurts growth? Because again, we're working with what we have, and we don't want to put out more than what we're getting back as we're growing. But at some level, you have to pay to play. So is there a point that you've seen where providers try to stay too cheap and it actually hurts them from growing?
Absolutely. I see this a lot, especially with startups. A lot of people, when they start their own NEMT business, they usually have a story of why they did it. They have a heart for their mom was in a nursing home and she was left at dialysis for 3 hours. They never came to pick her up, and she saw the way that that person was treated, and they said, I want to do this better. I can provide better service than what's available out there. And they jump into it. So that's a lot of the stories I hear are similar to that when people are just jumping in. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these people are not well funded. So they bootstrap it. They go in cheap. I don't want to say cheap, but they do what they think is right. And they don't get a lot of guidance. They just go out there and go, I'm buying a wheelchair van. So I train these folks and I say, bring your van to the training. So we're training on your van. I don't want to train you on this brand new van that has equipment you don't have in your van. I want to train on your van. Right. And there's times when they'll bring their van up and I look at it and it's a 2011 Ford E-Series. And on the outside, it looks okay. It's got a little rust around the wheels, and then we we open up the lift, and the lift isn't really working all that well. And I'm like, I hate to tell you this, but you should probably. Well, first of all, I would take this to a dealer and have them look over the whole thing, because someone had this van and sold it to them. And they found it on Facebook Marketplace or something, and they really didn't do a whole lot of due diligence on the van itself. Yes. And then I've had people take it to a dealership like a Mobility Works, and they come back and they're like, Jim, I don't know what to do. I gotta sell this van because they said if they take this lift out, they can't put a new one in because it's rusted underneath. Stuff like that. So don't get too cheap on the vehicle. So not only do you have potential, wear and tear issues that right out of the gate, if you're buying a 15-year-old van, even if it looks great, that means all the components are that old as well. So you might be looking at right out of the gate, replacing the brakes and the tires and some, yeah, transmission. Absolutely. So the older the vehicle, the more you're going to be looking at that. And when those vehicles are out of service, that's costing you money. Every day that's out of service, it's costing you money. So so don't cheap out for that. Now, if you could land a 3-year-old Ford Transit that just came off of a lease and it's in great condition and it's low miles, absolutely jump on it. Yeah, and I understand everyone's got different budgets, but with leasing programs, with creative financing, there's a lot of companies out there that I think will be able to finance you and maybe get you into a new or newer vehicle that you maybe didn't even think you would be able to afford. So look into it, at least check it out. Because also insurance, can you get proper insurance on something that's that old right out of the gate? So check on insurance. That's another thing is that companies new in this space, they're not expecting how expensive insurance is going to be, and it is a huge price for insurance. So we want to make sure that they understand that. But so yeah, don't skip insurance. don't cheap out in training, and don't cheap out on your vehicles. Another thing, think about it: an older vehicle. Do you think passengers want to get into a brand new vehicle that smells good, looks impressive, or something that's maybe a little rusty around the wheels, on the inside the seats are beat up, it smells a little bit, what's the overall brand? That's your brand that you're putting out there. What people are driving in says a lot about your company. And if you're cheaping out on this, what else are you cheaping out on? So we want to make sure that you are well thought of. Again, it doesn't mean you have to have brand new vehicles, but they can help. Not only that, you don't have to worry about, if it's a new vehicle, you don't have to worry about maintenance for a couple of years, as long as you do your oil changes and you take care of the routine stuff. They should serve you well so that those vehicles are up and making you money. So yeah, as far as cheaping out, the vehicles and obviously training, as we talked about there as well.
Absolutely. Jim, you have been giving some great answers. I hope everyone watching is really paying attention, because you're giving some great gems out there for advice, for sure.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to wrap this up, and I want you to give the people information on how they can learn more about Driverge, and how can providers connect directly with you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So go to our website, driverge.com. So driver with the letters GE at the end.com is our website. You can learn all about the vehicles, the services that we provide, the different upfits. And then also, if you want to reach me, look for Jim Cermak on LinkedIn. That's probably the easiest way to connect with me. I can answer questions. I post a ton on LinkedIn. So, and I love sharing stories. So yeah, do that. And I would love to connect with you. Tell me this is where you found me on that at the NEMT Growth podcast, and would love to talk with you.
Absolutely. And for all of you all who will be at NEMT this year, Jim will be there. Okay. So make sure to stop by the booth and you connect with him in person, because it's always best to meet in person and leave a memorable, memory on someone. So make sure that you all connect with Jim there. Also, if you all will be in attendance for NEMT, make sure that you register for Monica and Jasmine, MJ Reliable. They are doing a mixer this year. If you were in attendance last year, they definitely made sure that it was a great time of networking for providers to just let our hair down and just really give the real on what's going on with us on the road. So it was a great time last year. I'm looking forward to that. And if you are serious about starting your business and scaling it the right way, make sure you subscribe to my channel if you're not already a subscriber. And also check out my website, www.thenemtgirl.com. Jim, thank you for joining me today. I truly appreciated having you, and I can't wait to connect with you at NEMT.
Absolutely. Can't wait. And everybody, let's hook up at NEMT. It's going to be fun.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all for watching, and until the next time, I'll see you soon. Bye.